You guys, I'm super excited about my guest today. Emma Valdez is a really good friend of mine. You're going to love her. She's achieved international fame as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu expert. We are going to talk about that on another podcast, but today's podcast is going to talk about religion again, which I know you guys ate up last time. We're going to talk about the cult that I was in, the Independent Fundamental Baptists. We're also going to talk about the cult that she was in, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the kind of differences between them, have a little bit of a heated conversation about both of them, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So if that's something that you want to learn more about or something that you enjoyed from the last podcast, stay tuned for the next hour or so because I promise you will thoroughly enjoy this. Once again, thank you so much for coming along with me. I'm super excited to see where else this goes. And I'm super appreciative of everyone that stopped by and viewed or liked or subscribed. Thank you so much. I'm Stuart. This is my friend Emma, and this is the Not Your Mother's podcast. I have the creakiest chair in all of Christendom for this podcast, so that should make it great. We're going to get into cults, which is not entirely what I designed this podcast for, but since the very first one kind of revolved around the Independent Fundamental Baptist cult that me and my mother were a part of for many years, and I got a lot of good feedback on that, I wanted to continue. Please understand if this is something that you're not a fan of hearing about or talking about, I will definitely be putting out future podcasts where that will not be the entire subject matter. So do not be alarmed. However, it has a lot to do with my makeup and where I come from, and my friend Emma as well. So let me introduce you. I'm sorry. This is my friend Emma Valdez. We've worked together for many years. Many years? That's making me sound old.
2 years.
2 years. Yeah, but we've known each other a lot longer than 2 years.
3.
3 years?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's been a lot longer. Anyways, if you know me, you will see her and me tagged together in a lot of Facebook posts. Very, very good friends. And so I wanted to have her on the podcast because, for a lot of reasons, and we have another podcast. I'm not sure what timeline we're going to have, but she has a...
But make sure you subscribe. So that
yes. Subscribe. Do it now.
Hit that
we don't know where to point.
The link,
we're not
the link
YouTube
goes.
people like ding, 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 ding. We're not that yet, but I have her on another podcast. I don't know if it'll come before this one or after this one, but she's been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a lot of years, and so that's something that I'm intrigued with, and we talked a lot about that on the other podcast. Again, I don't know if this will be a teaser for it or not, but we definitely talked about it. I'm excited about that. We talked about social media marketing because that's something that we're both good at and we both have been doing for a while. So, but now we're going to talk about cults. She was raised in the Jehovah's Witness cult. So when it comes to are we both Jonesing right now?
Yeah.
So Baptist, the cult that I was in, we knock on your door twice a week. We call it soul winning.
Soul winning?
Soul, yeah, because the souls are lost and they must be won.
You're collecting them?
Damn it! Yeah.
I gotta catch them all.
We gotta catch them all. It's a Pokemon thing. Pokemon Go. So we not as a. I don't think Independent Fundamental Baptist, I don't think that name is as well circulated as just Jehovah's Witness name is. I think it's because they do a lot better at what you would call preaching, what we would call soul winning, where you go knock on people's doors, bug the hell out of them. How many days a week normally does that happen? I know we're going to talk about a lot of different things, but...
So when I was in it at the... So I stopped in 1999. But when I was actually doing preaching work, right, you're assigned... You devote yourself to 60 hours a month.
Wow.
So
there's a specific amount of time that you've got to put in.
If you're a pioneer, if you're pioneering is what they call it. If you're pioneering, then you are devoting 60 hours a month of preaching work.
Door knocking time. Mm-hmm. What would you say, what percentage of Jehovah's Witnesses would you say are pioneers?
I don't,
That's hard to say?
It's hard to say. There's a lot.
Okay, in the congregation that you were in, the church that you went to.
Oh, at the time?
Yes.
There wasn't that many.
Okay.
Yeah, there wasn't that many because it's kind of seen as like this, certain status because not everybody does.
So pioneers lower level.
No.
Oh.
So if you are pioneering, you're doing
Oh,
great.
You're the shit.
Exactly.
Oh,
yes,
okay,
you're the shit because normal people are only doing it on Saturday and maybe Sunday.
Okay.
Saturdays at 9 is when they start.
Okay. Okay. So just know that's when you look out for these motherfuckers.
So before 9 o'clock, a lot of them would go to like Stater Brothers and stand out there and get some time in before.
Man.
Because so every time that you do preach work, I don't know how it is now.
Do you mark it down?
Yes, you mark it down.
Oh shit!
You mark down your hours. You mark down if you had like a study with someone, if you left them a magazine, how many magazines.
God,
because everything wanted to be like it was all accounted
Watchtower?
for. Watchtower and Awake.
Oh yes, you have two. Nice. So that's intensive. I'm not saying that my background no one did it on that level, but we definitely didn't have. I mean, when I was in college, there was hours you were. I think it was, but it was only 2 hours on a Saturday. Like you were required to go 2 hours on a Saturday, and then you had to fill it out. Like in college, you had to fill out the paperwork, say that you went for at least 2 hours, and I, of course, always went for at least 2 hours. At least is what I put down. Even when I was sick, I would say that I went for 2 hours. I would lay in bed and then put down 2 hours, and then. Or was it 2 hours? Someone correct me in the comments or something. I wish my phone's on airplane mode, so I can't do that. But I can't text anyone. But I feel like you had to do 2 hours, and the goal was, I think, to see 2 people saved, converted, get them to bow their heads and 1, 2, 3, pray with me. Why is that weird? You gotta save the souls.
Sorry.
How are you gonna win the souls if you don't save them?
How does that save them?
Yeah,
so you gotta pray.
Yeah, they said you pray.
So if you
pray, but then you kill someone tomorrow, it's all good because you prayed. You're still going to heaven.
What?
Yeah. See? How crazy does that sound? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're a rapist. As long as you prayed, then you go to heaven.
That one time?
Yeah, the one time. How
does it go?
Okay.
I'm
man.
like, I want you to do it to me.
It's so, yeah, you better, okay, so you bow your head. No, don't really.
You go like this?
No, you don't do that. They don't get them mad out and like, oh, this one's going to go off the rails. I'm excited. This podcast has potential. No, so.
I'm sorry. It's just like
We've never talked about this?
No.
This is awesome. Okay, so the religion I was a part of, which is a branch of Christianity, a Baptist branch, the goal is to just save a fuck ton of people. And how you save people is you show them in the Bible that they're wrong because they've sinned. Which is literally everyone ever. No one's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Right, we've all done wrong.
Yeah.
So, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God is the verse in Romans, I think. I'm so happy. I've completely forgotten all of this shit. So, you've sinned, and honestly, as a basic principle, it's a great lead-in, because, if you tell... It's a terrible lead-in, because... The very first question that you ask, you try to make you knock on someone's door on Saturday, and now you're trying to make conversation. I don't want to have a conversation with you on Saturday. I'm in my pajamas, and you're in a shirt and tie. This is very awkward already because of your garb. And then on top of that...
you're lucky if they even open the door.
If they open the door,
and
right?
you know they're inside, but because they all got quiet,
exactly.
you don't hear the TV anymore, and you're just...
I'll never forget, you hear the shh. The blinds move, or then the dog, you hear someone beating the dog, Ro, shut up! Ro. Finally, it shuts up. So, you're lucky enough to open the door. And then you say, hey, my name's Stuart, this is Emma, we're from the blah, blah, blah bullshit church down the road.
Wait, were you allowed to do I'll call it preach work.
Preaching, yeah.
Preaching with women? Or did you have to be only with...
If you were married, usually...
it was okay,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if
you weren't married to that person...
Then you had to have, some kind of, chaperone or something? Or
well, there was always chaperones, because that would be college when I would go, if I would take my girlfriend or fiance. But, no, if inside the church, it was never opposite sex unless you were married.
Yeah, okay.
And that was always awkward. I never liked taking my wife with me. It was just felt weird. Anyways, a lot of things felt weird. So... I did. So you knock on the door, you try to make small talk, which is super awkward because no one wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you either. So introduce yourself, tell them where you're from, try to make small talk about how their day's going, which was great until you knocked on the door and then they answered. And then you say, so I have a question for you. If you died today, do you know for sure you go to heaven? And there's different ways to phrase it, if you die today, are you 100% sure, or do you know for sure that you go to hell otherwise? It's terrible. I don't want someone to knock on my door and ever say, hey, what would happen if you died today? Just think about how bizarre that is to have someone knock on your door.
I would just
die. Yeah, exactly. Well, Daddy, didn't know for sure you go to heaven? No.
But see, and then Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe that when you die you're going to go to heaven or hell.
Where do you go? You don't have purgatory?
No.
What do you have?
Nothing.
Oh, there's nothing unless you're one. I'm getting confused on the 144.
Okay, so the 144,000 are a select special group that is going to rule with Jesus in his kingdom. So remember, well, not remember because it's probably different, but when
it's a rapture,
when jujitsu.
You haven't even had anything to drink.
When Jesus gave his life.
Jiu-jitsu Jesus.
Yeah. When Jesus gave his life, God promised him to what? Be able to rule for, mind you, this has been a long time.
Yeah, same.
To be able to like rule for like 2,000 years or something like that. Is that correct?
And then the devil comes back or something?
Yes, the devil comes back and then we have like another Armageddon or something like that.
We're like relearning this shit. So funny.
We have like another like Armageddon or something and then it's like the end. Like you have no more chances because the devil's going to be...
you can't get into heaven.
Right. Well... You believe in heaven, right? So these 144,000.
I'm sorry.
Well,
neither of us believe either of them, but it's okay.
See what happens?
I got you all
worked
up.
It's
so ingrained.
It's crazy. Ingrained. But so what? I was gonna say what we believe. What Jehovah's Witnesses believe, dude. What Jehovah's Witnesses believe is that those 144,000 are promised to rule with Jesus in heaven. So it would.
So they're raptured. They don't die.
They die. Okay, so
where do they
like,
go? Is there a
instance,
holding area?
No.
Because there's there is in Christianity or Catholicism. Yeah, no, Christianity. I think there's a. Now I'm gonna get tore up by someone that actually knows what the Ghost Man in the Sky wrote in the book 2,000 years ago. But there is like a holding area kind of thing, and I believe that's with Christianity. Some forms of Christianity, which includes Catholicism.
Wait, so Christianity, being a Christian though means believing in Christ.
Yes.
So it's like there's like all these like.
There's a bunch of them inside there.
But it would be like, for instance, like when Jesus was on the cross and he was about to die, and he told to the the guy next to him, he said, "I promise you will rule with me in paradise." In paradise. Mm-hmm. So or his kingdom or whatever.
No, it's paradise. King James.
Okay. Well, so that guy basically is how we're taught is he's going to be ruling with Jesus.
Okay.
Up there with the rest of the 144,000.
So when you die, that's where you go.
So if you're part of the special group,
yes,
you will go up to heaven to rule with Jesus.
When you die.
When you die.
Okay. So you're
Jehovah's Witnesses believe that when you die, you just die. There is your soul doesn't like go anywhere.
You're not of the 144.
If you're not of the 144,000, correct. Like everybody else, every normal person just dies. Once you came from dust, you return to dust. So there's nothing. You sleep. You're that's it.
So here's what gets me, and it's funny because we're like, my religion, neither of us go to church or believe any of this shit. We're like, no, but it's like this, which is I think this is fun. So this is what so because I was in a cult, we were taught that every other religion was a cult, but we weren't, even though we mimicked them intensely. So what I was taught about Jehovah's Witnesses, or what I really believed, was that even though there's only 144,000, right? It seems like every Jehovah's Witness you meet somehow meets the criteria for the 144,000.
No, this is where you people are mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I wanted you to clear up.
So
I always wondered that. I don't know why we've never talked about that.
Yeah, so we do believe that there is a special group of 144. We do. See, I'm doing it again. So Jehovah's Witnesses believe that there is 144,000 that is a special group that goes up to heaven to rule with Jesus Christ. However,
were you one?
No, this is like elite special. No,
damn.
This is like super special.
I mean, okay, sorry. So, to me, I would be like, well, fuck this, I'm out.
No. Here's the thing, though, is that Jehovah's Witnesses believe that God created Earth. Why? He created Earth and paradise for what?
Right. For
so that Adam and Eve can fulfill the Earth.
Perfect. Yes.
Yes, fulfill the Earth. That was his intent.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm preaching to you. that is what he wanted.
Knock on my door first?
No, I didn't need to. But that was the purpose of humanity.
Okay.
Was to fulfill the earth.
Utopian and
yes.
Okay.
So what strayed that was
the apple.
Adam and Eve sinning, right, and listening to Satan and whatnot, and basically messed all that up. And so now humankind doesn't have that access anymore because they messed it up, and now they're screwed basically.
Fucked.
So which is why then Jesus came down to earth and gave himself to rescue, to sacrifice for everybody, so that now we can have that opportunity to live in paradise forever. Because when Armageddon comes and God destroys all the evil people,
yes.
and only the evil people.
Well, yeah, he's got lasers.
Yes. When he destroys all the evil people, the earth is going to be turned into paradise.
Oh,
and
I've
we are
heard this.
living,
okay.
our goal, not we, I keep doing that.
Yeah, but what happens if you die, though? But if you die before that happens?
Hold on, so let me finish.
Okay.
So our goal is to live forever in paradise.
Uh-huh.
So you live your life per all these rules as the Jehovah's Witnesses in the Bible and whatnot.
Right.
So that when God opens up the scrolls, and if you did die, then you are resurrected.
Resurrected, okay.
Because Jehovah's Witnesses, I keep saying we. It bothers me that I do that.
You're going to do it a lot, I think.
I'm going to do it a lot. I'm just going to keep saying
just
we.
do it and stop letting it bother you.
So Jehovah's Witnesses believe that if you die, you're just dead. You're not like a spirit.
Okay, so you don't go anywhere.
You don't go anywhere.
But you will be resurrected if you were really good.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
If you were a follower of Jehovah, and if you died before the Armageddon, before paradise came, you will be resurrected. And this is where you get... This is where, like, also people who didn't know about Jehovah, so that's why Jehovah's Witnesses do a lot of preaching, because your life, your blood is on my hands.
No, that
so I
we
have to
subscribe
preach
to that
you
as well. Yeah.
Because so I don't want
it's
your
your fault
yes.
if I die. If you don't tell
preach
me,
to you,
if you don't preach to me, tell me how to get to paradise.
Yes.
Then it's your fault that I died.
Yes.
That is absolutely the same with the IFB.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah. So
yes.
it's always like washing our hands. That's why if you have coworkers that are Jehovah's Witnesses, they will probably at one point preach to you, because it's them wanting to save you. And also be like, okay, well, you know,
themselves.
Yes,
yeah.
I did my part.
Yep.
And so that's what it is. So there is no we're gonna go to heaven, or we want to go to heaven to be with whoever, or oh my God, I'm gonna go to hell. It's I want to have life in paradise and live forever as God intended.
Right.
Originally.
Gotcha. Okay, so that makes sense now. So now that we said all that, we were talking about Saturdays. I feel like. Oh yeah, I never, only in college did I have a quota to meet. But I do remember, like, even before and after college, like, I would go for a few hours on Saturday. But wow, never like, so 60 hours a month, what does that come down to a week? 60, God, I can't think. That's like
15?
15?
Yeah.
Jeez,
so 10, 20, 30, 40.
That's a lot.
50, 60, yeah, 15 hours a week.
That's crazy.
So it's 15, so you have to do... I mean, you either do 15 hours a week, or you have to do 50. That's a lot. That's 15 hours a week.
So much. But the 60 hours. Now I'm sure it's more than that. It's a lifestyle, but like that 60 hours really bumps your numbers for getting into paradise, right?
No.
No.
It's not looked at like that. Like we don't keep
then why do you keep track?
No, it's so the reason why you would keep track is so that the org is what they call it now, the organization in New York, all those papers, all those slips get sent over there.
Okay.
And
so
then they're able to keep the numbers, how many hours were done. And it really, looking at it, it's a big money machine. They're probably looking to see how many publications got actually distributed.
Yep.
And then let's look at the donations. How much money did we make?
How do you make money? I mean, aside from passing the plate.
It's all okay, so you have to remember with Jehovah's Witnesses, when they used to give you like a Bible or this was like way back, or like any literature, you had to pay for it.
No shit.
Yes, you had to pay for it. It wasn't given to you for free. Wow. But this was like way back. So and then they changed it, and it was like it's all donated.
Right.
So I would say, my name is Emma, you know, this is my blah, blah, blah friend, we're here to talk to you about God, or, and then I would
Usually Jesus is what I hear. When they not. It's been a while, but usually they tell me Jesus. Because that translates a lot better.
We would just say God. We would say Jehovah God. Or we would say, do you know what Jehovah God is? And then, or we would have, like, whatever magazine, whatever, like, the article was about, we'd like, ask them, what do you think about this article? What do you, it could be anything. Yeah.
Just
anything.
Pick anything.
Yeah, and so then at the end, we would say, would you like to keep this? And then if they said yes, we would say, okay, well, these are free, but if you'd like to donate anything, we accept it. If not, it's still yours, and we could come back.
How often would you say you got people to give you money for it?
Practically every time.
No shit.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of money?
It'd be like $1 here and there.
We should do this. We should do a jiu-jitsu magazine.
It'd be like $1 here and there.
Okay,
it'd
but that's
be like,
something.
but it adds up.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
well,
then
you're
that
not
money,
60 hours a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, it adds
and
up.
then that wasn't money like that we would keep.
Oh, God, no, that goes back to the church.
That goes back to the church.
Yeah. Damn. All right.
And yeah, so it goes back to the church.
This is interesting. I didn't know any of that. And I guess...
And that's on top of, like, people who attend donating.
Yeah, you donate, yeah. We would call it offering.
Oh, we just had a little donation box.
Oh, you did better than us. Like, we put the plate right in. Like, we passed
really?
it down. Oh, yeah, hell yeah. You pass the plate down the pew. And, like, you get all kinds of dirty looks if you're not putting money in there.
Really? No.
Oh,
we just had a little box where you can put, like, a coin. It'd
that's
be like
what
a
a lot
little
of
slot.
more evangelical churches do that.
Do
like,
that?
Yeah, a lot of the ones that I've visited out here, they'll have, like, like an app and shit like that. Like, oh, donate. This is our donation time. Download the app. Like...
Or if you would even, like, let's say if you needed a new Bible or something.
You have to pay for it?
Yeah, so you would ask them for a
Well,
Bible.
I guess we had to pay for it, yeah.
You would ask them, can I get anything that you wanted? Can I have a new songbook? Can I have a new Bible? Can I get these magazines? Can I get... What do you have back there, basically?
Yeah. Your books, did you have a bookstore, basically, or no?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, we would have those.
So then we would take it, and then you would go and make a donation.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, we had more like store. Like it was $20, $15, $30.
Oh,
like,
no, it wasn't like
set
that.
up prices. What was your Bible? Was it the King James? Was it
No, it was the old. So it was it's a New Testament, or like the new. It was like the old.
Just the new,
it was the old.
Yeah, ours is Old New Testament.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, what version of the Bible was it?
What do you mean?
Was it the King James? Was it the
No, it was not King James.
New
We're not
Inspired?
Mormon.
No, Mormons don't. I don't think. You know what? No, Mormons don't use the Bible. They have their own Bible.
They have like the King James version.
No, King James version is like Baptist and evangelical. Sure? Yes, I'm pretty sure. Someone will correct me in the comments. I'll hit up my LDS friends after this and ask. Anyways, what version though? Like you had the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Yes.
But what version do you remember, or was it all whatever version you had?
I don't understand the question.
Okay, so our version, man, I don't.
It was like the new. It said the New Translation, like whatever testament. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Yeah,
but
so,
it had all the books. It had from Genesis to Revelation.
Was it a New Inspired version? NIV?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, because like so the reason I'm all hung up is because the sect of Baptists that we were in, it had to be the King James version. That was the only like good one.
James version?
So there's tons of versions of the Old and New Testament Bible. And I can't think of them right now. There's RSV, NIV, New Living Version for Man. Like there's all kinds of versions. There's a cartoon version.
Mine's more old school. I think.
No, ours was. Trust me, King James is like the old school. Like where some of the words were like, "What the fuck are you? Doth thou hath?" Like all that shit.
Yeah, ours was more
cleaned up, right? Less of that, yeah. Which makes more sense.
Yeah, so that we could better understand it and read it.
Really though, that makes sense. Yeah. Like a lot of the old English words, like I know them, and I'm like it's like algebra. Like I never used this shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to what I was talking about before. I knew we would talk for a while on this one. My going up to the door knocking, soul winning, because we would go collect the souls. I like that. I've never heard that before. So the soul winning was you knock on the door, do a little intro. If you die today, no sure you go to heaven. And most people are like, what the fuck? Like, why would you say that to me? That's a dumb thing to say. Weird. And then usually most people would say, well, I'm not sure. Or whatever answer they had, if it wasn't, I've asked Jesus into my heart and I've accepted Christ as my Savior, something along those lines, then they were wrong. So you had to convince them they were wrong. If they had a reason for why they were going to heaven and it wasn't your reason, they were wrong. So, well, I'm just a good person. Well, that's great. I'm glad. Like, I mean, we need more good people in the world, right? Right. But the Bible says, and then you go into and then you have a fucking Bible with you. Like either a little New Testament or you have a tract. We always
had a Bible with us.
Yeah. I usually use the tract.
But we would tell them, if, we use whatever, so our thing was like, okay, it's not a Jehovah's Witness Bible. You could bring out your Bible and I'll show you in the same place. Yeah.
Anyways,
sorry.
No, it's fine. Like a lot of people carried a New Testament. I did, but I never used that thing. Like, why are you going to go through all those pages when you have a little pamphlet where it's all right there? So then you show them how they're wrong, because even if you're a good person, you can't get into heaven. I can't even remember the verse anymore. So anyways, then you tell them that. So then you tell them, you're not perfect, right? So it's the 4 basic points. Like, you're not perfect. Because you're not perfect, you can't get to heaven. But Jesus died for you so that you could go to heaven. And all you have to do is pray this little quick-ass prayer, and then you're... Whoop.
Where in the Bible does it say that?
That's a good question. I know that a lot of people out there can tell you. And I honestly cannot think of the verse right now. It's in Romans, but I can't think of it. And I don't have any
what about all the other stuff you're supposed to do? Like in the Bible,
yeah.
it talks about preaching and like, you know, how Jesus preached and all that. So.
Wait, are we getting in an argument right now?
No. I'm just like, what?
Like but you can't follow the whole Bible because you follow the Old Testament. Every time your kid says shit to you, then
the Old Testament, so the New Testament trumps the Old Testament because Jesus came in.
Right, I know, but like it's just funny.
But isn't it funny that we still use those old commandments of like don't kill or you know all that other stuff?
Not just don't kill. It's the
not lying.
Well, it's not okay. Not just the 10 Commandments. I'm talking about dress. Because they use Deuteronomy to say, like, well, women, you can't wear pants, like, but for a few verses...
So that was one of your guys' thing.
Yeah, it was.
Don't wear pants. Okay.
Yeah, no pants. Women can't wear pants, shorts, for sure not swimsuits, which was a real bummer. But anyways...
People are probably looking at my face.
Well, I don't know what you do. What? So that was a thing. But anyways, I cannot remember the verses, and now I feel like I'm at your door and I'm trying to talk you into it. And you're like, where does it say that? I'm like, fuck, I haven't done this in 10 years. I don't know where it says that shit. But
I used to know a lot of verses too.
Oh, hell yeah.
I can't remember
At any rate, when you knock on someone's door, the goal is to get them to bow their head, pray with you, and just say a little prayer like, Dear Lord Jesus, I'm so sorry that I sinned. Please accept me into heaven as your child, and I'll live with you forever in paradise, kind of thing. It's not exactly that.
So did you really, like, when you were in that?
Oh, I believe that 100%.
You believed that one prayer was
absolutely.
In it. But so like, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
So who are you that makes you so powerful to be able to do that? Is it because you're going through Christ?
Because we're using the power of Christ. It's not me. Like the prayer, and I would tell people afterwards that the prayer that they said didn't get them into heaven. It was the belief in their heart. Like, you can just say a prayer anytime, whatever, but you have to believe this in your heart, and that's what gets you into heaven.
Just that one action.
Just that one prayer, and then go kill a bunch of people.
So, so like, you could become a murderer, a rapist, and you're still going to go to heaven?
Yeah, and whatever sin you did before, it's completely absolved.
Well, okay, now wait. That doesn't make any sense. So,
I know.
So, I got prayed on today.
No, you prayed. I didn't pray on you.
Well,
you repeated a prayer after me, but you said it,
so
and you
I
meant
prayed
it in your
today.
heart.
And then a year from now, I kill my husband or something. I'm not married. I'm single, by the way.
Kudos, though.
So a year from now, I kill my husband, and I still go to heaven?
Of course, because you asked. Because that trumps everything else that you do. The prayer takes you to heaven.
Sense. No, but it
I'm not saying it does.
But I could see how, like, so for Jehovah's Witnesses, you get baptized.
Okay, hang on, really quick. Sin is sin.
Right.
Lying and killing someone are the same thing.
Yes. Yes.
So you just got forgiven of all your sins.
Yes.
Past, present, future.
No.
Yes, absolutely.
That doesn't work like that.
I know it doesn't, dude. I don't know why we're fighting about it.
I know. It's just because, like, in the Jehovah's Witness, right? So, like, let's say you did a bunch of bad shit, or whatever, and all of a sudden you found God, and you're attending meetings and whatnot. When you get baptized, okay, you get baptized.
God, that's a whole nother thing.
You get baptized, and it's kind of like you have a fresh start.
Yes,
so now, whatever you do, you have to keep in line according to the Bible.
Yeah, but you can't. You're gonna lie.
Right. But because you're not perfect, so it's like.
So what do you do when you do those things?
But it's kind of not like, okay, like, look, you're not perfect. Yeah, so you shouldn't do these things. But like, unless you do something where like you committed murder, like it was like
it's all the same, though.
Big sin or whatever.
It's all the same.
I know. I'm just saying, like, this is how it is.
All right.
Okay, so let's say if you got baptized and you're cleansed, okay, and then a year later you killed someone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you're not going. You're not.
Well, why can't you get baptized again?
So what would happen is
that's not cool.
No. So what would happen is if you killed somebody, then these elders have a discussion with themselves, which would be like priests. They have a discussion with themselves, and they make a prayer
for us.
Okay, and they would make a prayer and ask for God's help on how to discipline you.
Oh, okay.
So at the very least, you would get reprimanded. So that basically means in our meetings, you cannot raise, so they encourage you to ask questions.
Yeah.
So
unless you're a murderer.
Yeah. So if
you can't be killing people and asking questions.
You cannot read from the Bible in a meeting publicly where there's people there.
Okay. Ever again?
For as long as you're punished.
Okay.
So you can't raise. So like.
This is also funny. Sorry, go ahead.
So let's say on a Sunday there's someone giving a talk, an elder. They're always men giving a talk. And he says,
so for my audience, this would be Sunday morning service and pastors preaching.
Okay. But we also have that where you're able to raise your hand and answer questions.
Oh, yeah.
On Mondays, Wednesdays,
Jeez.
and Sundays.
How many meetings a week do you have?
So when I would go,
Yeah.
I used to go 3 times a week. I'd go Monday for an hour, Wednesday for 2 hours, and Sundays for 2 hours. It's changed
That's
now.
not that much different because we would have Sunday twice and Wednesday once, so one more than what
And
we
then
would have.
our preach work on Saturdays
Right,
usually.
yeah.
Yeah, but
We went too.
okay, I don't know why we're fighting.
It's hilarious.
But
okay, so,
yeah,
so
like,
you would be reprimanded and you couldn't raise your hand.
so like
or
yeah,
read
so like if
aloud.
there was a you know, like a pastor or whatever, an elder that
Yes.
would say who wants to read the scripture.
Yeah.
And it's like a huge thing, like, oh yes,
Oh,
like
hell
pick
yeah.
pick
For
me,
sure.
right? And so
It's like
then
sword
you
drills.
can't do that. You can't raise your hand and read from the Bible.
Mm.
I don't even know. It's so stupid when you look back and you
crazy.
think about these things. But yeah, you're
So
not
what
allowed
else?
to do that.
Yeah.
And then you're also looked as like the black sheep now.
Do you
have
ever
like a
get-
mark on you, and,
For
and
sure.
it's like other people need to be
you
careful.
should if you killed someone. I think that's a given.
Yeah, but it's kind of like
But here's my thing. Do you ever get excommunicated
yes,
for sin?
like I did. So here's the thing:
Okay.
is that, for instance, like more than likely, if you killed somebody, you're probably going to be
Did you kill
excommunicated. No, you'd probably get excommunicated.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
So,
that was-
so it's
but if you're
called
excommunicated-
disfellowshipped. They disfellowship.
But if you're disfellowshipped, then you're not going to paradise, right? Or can you do like a shit ton of
no,
work?
you're
and
not.
back?
You can.
Damn.
So, like, for instance, yes, and so right now there's, like, a huge thing with a lot of elders and people in the Jehovah's Witness organization that are pedophiles and have raped, and the thing is, they have a rule, okay? So unless you have two witnesses that saying that, yes, this person did that to that person, it didn't
it's
happen.
a wash.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And you can try to take it to that person and say, hey, you raped me.
You did this thing.
And that person's like,
who else said it?
what
No
you
one.
know, who's seen it? And then you're just like, okay.
Wow, that's fucked.
So that's basically where they leave it at. And
Wow.
they do
Two
not
witnesses
report it.
is a Bible thing too.
Yeah, and then like if you go and tell like an elder like I was raped by this person, then they don't report it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
They don't report it because there is
Even if there's two witnesses, they don't report it.
no, they don't. They don't report it because it's
Damn.
all kept within the religion.
Yeah. Well, you don't want
Because-
that shit getting out.
Well, not, and it's this thing of where like
we can
you
handle
pay
our own.
Caesar what you owe to Caesar, right?
Uh-huh.
So we do pay tax, or I'm doing it again.
You guys,
Jehovah's Witnesses
They pay taxes?
Jehovah's Witnesses pay taxes.
The churches pay taxes?
Well,
No,
Jehovah's
you pay-
Witnesses,
yeah,
Jehovah's
but
Witnesses,
we all
normal
do.
people
Yeah.
pay taxes.
But not the
But
church.
and we follow laws.
Yeah.
Right. Here's the thing: is that pay to Caesar what is owed to Caesar. So then you follow laws.
Mhm.
But when it comes to military fighting and all that, Jehovah's Witnesses are neutral.
Right.
Okay. But what I never got was how
Fucking
am I going to
Quakers.
respect this law about speeding, but someone can get raped and we're not going to respect the law that's saying that is against the law.
That's crazy.
How like that when
Yeah,
I was
it doesn't
in
make
it,
sense.
it never made sense to me because I knew of a friend who did get raped.
Wow.
And nobody did anything about it. And there was this one elder that had like that reputation.
Mhm.
And I only found about it because she told me about it. But nothing was ever done. Right now there's like, if anybody wants to go research, there's like a huge lawsuit going on in Canada about it.
We'll see if we can find a link for that. And
Yeah, I know there's one going on in Canada about
Good.
it. And I think in Australia too, they're trying to do something. And I really hope that they do something here in the United States.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So, we really riffed on that for a minute.
Yeah,
That's
so
a-
what happens is basically if you committed this like huge
Yes.
sin and you get disfellowshipped, you just have to start coming back and follow within line, and then you'll get cleared.
I think it's safe to say, I can't say it's safe to say, but I feel like almost every religion has those caveats for even if you're a terrible person, you can still get back in because they want that influence, that following, and especially that money, and they want that many converts. Like, I think that's important to them.
Yes, and then
Numbers are very important.
they are, and then I forgot what I was gonna say.
We had and I wish I'd brought my Bible out here, my King James Bible out here. We had a campaign, the college and the church that I went to for a long time, 4 years. We had a campaign of 25,000, where our goal within a year's time was to see 25,000 people saved and baptized. And it was so funny to me because we would say, friends, family, acquaintances at work or whatever would say like, oh, you guys are all about the numbers. And then we'd be like, no, we're not. Like, the thing says 25,000.
Yeah.
Like, those are numbers. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me? It was ridiculous to look at all the paradoxes within everything we did where we would want to say, no, that's not us or we're not like that, but we absolutely were. It's just crazy to me. So, let's talk to this. How long were you in And when did you start? You know, when was that? At what point was it kind of your introduction? When did you get started? What age? And how many years?
So I was little. I think maybe like 4 or 5. When my aunts got involved in it, and so I used to go with them when they would go preaching. I was like this little kid that would go with them.
That's a great prop to have a little girl.
And they stopped going because they turned into teenagers. They were already teenagers, and you know they just kind of started living what we would call
worldly.
What worldly.
We would call it really
yes,
the same
yes.
word.
Worldly.
Well, we have one that's the same.
So you know they became more worldly, and my grandmother, which I call mom, my mom, she kind of kept like going, but it didn't really become serious until 1992, and by 1992 I was like 11.
Okay.
But prior to that, I mean, she would go and, you know, she wasn't baptized, but she would go. And, you know, the kids, me and my brother were, like, forced to go, obviously, with her.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah, those good times. And then,
So you started at about 4. You got pretty intensive around 11. And from 4 to what age?
So Jehovah's Witnesses don't really celebrate birthdays, but I remember my last birthday, I think I was, like, 5 or 6. And I think that was, like, the last Christmas that, like, they had ever, like, celebrated. But, yeah. It was just kind of like this, after, like, 6, like, nothing was celebrated. But she wasn't, like, so deeply involved. She just stopped doing a lot of those things, which is really weird. Like, I don't know.
Strange.
I don't know why
Jehovah's
she imposed that
Witnesses,
on us.
we'll just talk about that right now. You don't celebrate birthdays. And you don't celebrate most major holidays.
Pagan holidays.
Because they're pagan. And
pagan.
to be fair, they are. Like, Christmas is a pagan holiday.
Christmas is a
so
pagan
is
holiday.
Easter.
Halloween is a pagan holiday.
Well, for sure. It's a given. But it's interesting that they don't do that. That's so removed from society. And I feel like that just gives you that further alienation from friends and family, and also it, in my opinion, because the thing we didn't necessarily do that, but like we of course didn't celebrate Halloween. Like that's Halloween is the devil for sure. So we didn't celebrate that. Christmas we celebrated. I had some friends. My best friend growing up, they didn't celebrate Christmas actually, which I never was mad at him for, but it was just always strange to me. Even though we didn't do everything that everyone else did, we had to. When you woke up on Christmas Day, you had to read the Christmas story before you could open your presents and shit like that. But it was. I think what it does for you is it gives you this. In my opinion, it gives you this feeling of, well, I'm not like everyone else. Like I'm actually better than everyone else because I abstain from all these things that everyone else indulges in.
Is that how you felt?
I didn't feel it consciously, but looking back, I realized, like, and I would tell people, like, it doesn't bother me if you smoke or whatever you watch or drink or whatever, like, and I said this on the previous podcast with my mother, in my mind, I felt like, okay, yeah, I don't really feel that way. But in reality, looking back, I can tell that in my heart, I was like, yeah, but I'm better than them.
Yeah,
I would never say that. I would never say that, and I would never speak to it. But looking back, I can realize 100% that I had this confidence that I was better than everyone else that wasn't a part of my religion, because either they were part of another cult, even though I wasn't in a cult, or they were just worldly people who were wicked and sinners. And I was a sinner too, but I was better because I prayed the prayer, and I went soul winning.
I think you had more access to being, I don't know, if it's just me, like, thinking that, or how you're coming across, but it seems like you had more access to worldly people than, like I did. Like, did you grow up having friends, like, that you would play with that were not part of your religion?
Yes, I did. Okay. And you couldn't do that at all?
No.
But didn't you go to public school?
I went to public school, but I never... So,
you just didn't chill with them?
No.
Oh, wow.
I mean, like,
so, like,
elementary, like, yeah, there was, like, some friends, but you never built a friendship. There was no, like, real friendship that you built. And it was very, now that I look back, it was just kind of like, oh, I don't get to be part of that. I don't get to do that Halloween project. I don't get to do that Thanksgiving project because I don't celebrate that. And then people would ask, well, why don't you celebrate it? So then that was my opportunity to preach. But it was never like, I'm better than you. I never felt like that.
I never said that or treated anyone that way.
But you're saying that looking back. Yeah,
absolutely.
no, like, for me, it wasn't like that
so
at all.
It was more pure for you.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like, this is what you believe in, this is what I believe in.
Right.
And if I have the opportunity to preach to you about why I don't, then that's what
great.
it is. But we never, like, growing up, I wasn't allowed to spend, I mean, I think this is also, like, Hispanic. I wasn't allowed to spend the night at anybody's house.
I didn't. I wasn't allowed to do that.
But for, like, in the Hispanic culture, that's even more, that's, like, you don't get to go to your friend's house. Like, you don't get to have sleepovers. You don't get to go in anywhere. And so being Mexican, growing up Mexican with old school parents, where you don't go inside someone's house, you don't sleep over, you know, because, you know, you're probably going to get raped.
Right, for sure. Every time.
You know, and then even more to add that to, add religion to that, it just made it even harder. Like, when we lived in LA, you know, I had a best friend. He was not part of the Jehovah's Witness, you know, religion, but he was a neighbor, and he was my best friend growing up. But going into, like, when we moved and actually were going, like, attending church regularly.
Right. You kind of cut him off.
Well, we moved from LA to heaven.
Gotcha, okay.
So that played into it as well. But it was kind of like I could not have friends that were not part of the religion.
Yeah, like close friends.
Like, really, any friends.
Damn, that's crazy.
And so it was always me and my brother. Me and my brother were really close growing up.
I guess it's pretty similar because I knew people. Like, I had a neighbor. Growing up when I was a kid, I had a neighbor. But, like, beyond that, like, once we moved...
It's very superficial.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Once we moved to Missouri. And, like, I would play with the kids in the trailer park that I lived in.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, the closeness wasn't there for sure. All right, so back to what we were talking about. You got in about 4 years old, and then when you got out, you were how old?
So I basically, what happened with me is I disassociated myself. Disassociating yourself means you just stopped going.
Yep.
I'm not going anymore. I'm not attending. So I'm kind of stepping out, and that's what I did because I never wanted to be a hypocrite because I would see that a lot in the religion.
It's so hard,
especially when it came to elders' kids.
Oh,
which would be pastors' kids.
Pastors' kids,
right? Yes.
Pastors' kids are the worst.
Yeah, my mom, I remember she used to always say, "Why can't you be more like the girl's name is?" I could say it. She's like, why can't you be more like Rebecca? Why aren't you like Rebecca?
And because she saw the front side of Rebecca, which was like sitting up in church and wearing the nice clothes and being polite.
All it was
was
the fact that she was an elder's daughter. That is it.
Yeah.
Like, that was some kind of like looking back like, I'm an adult now, but looking back, how stupid. Like, I mean, I love my mom.
It's all status,
but it was like, Mom, come on. She was just an elder's daughter. She didn't do anything special. She didn't do the preach work that I did. She didn't do it. And that's where, like, I would get defensive.
Was she a bad kid, though? Because most of us pastors' kids were bad kids. Because we could get away with murder. We went to the movies, and can I be vulgar on here?
Yeah,
didn't you hear me say fuck?
We went to the theater one time, and this girl sucked dick.
Oh, that kind of vulgar.
Yes.
Okay.
You can bleep it out if you want.
No, it's fine.
But she sucked dick, and she was known for she started sneaking boys in her parents' house.
Damn.
And I was a really good kid. I never snuck anybody in my room. I didn't, like, leave the house late at night and sneak out of the house. Like, I was a really good kid.
Same.
And I knew all this stuff about this girl and how, like, she even smoked cigarettes and how she was, like, doing all this bad stuff. And so I hated it when my mom would always, it was like I wasn't good enough. And she would always tell me, why can't you be more like her? Or why can't you be more like her? And I remember one time I got pissed because I was bullied a lot in the church. I was, they weren't good looking. And I was pretty. And this is the weird thing too, is that in that religion, when I used to go to church, I was this, like, really pretty girl and popular. But when I went to school, public school, I was nobody. Damn. So it was these two different worlds. Yeah, it was like I was very popular.
Tough to equate.
Yeah, I was very popular when it came to being in my religion.
Right.
And I don't mean popular in a, like, a bad way. It just in a, like, I was a good kid. I was pretty.
Right.
And I was, preaching, and I did all this stuff, and I in that aspect.
Yeah.
You know how church can be.
I know, I get it. Yeah,
like that. So that's how it was.
You were a standout.
Yeah, and then, I go to regular school, and I'm just this nerd.
You're just whatever.
I'm like, I'm literally a fucking nerd.
Yeah,
Nobody. I'm not popular
kids.
at all. Yeah, not popular, not part of the cool kids. And so it's just these two different lives that I had. But yeah, I left. I never wanted to be a hypocrite. I told myself if I was to get to that point, I was going to step away. Right. And as soon as I turned 18...
Oh, okay.
Even a little bit before that, I I was trying to step away because I got a boyfriend.
Oh,
and
you
I was a
can't do that
boyfriend
shit.
outside of the religion,
Ooh.
which was a huge no-no.
Yeah, huge.
And he wasn't, he was just of a certain ethnicity, and
yeah, that's definitely frowned upon.
And
mine as well.
Yeah, and it was frowned upon. And for people that are probably wondering, like, well, was he black? No, he wasn't black. He was Indian. He wasn't American Indian. He was, you know, his family came from like India. But to my mom, I don't even know if I should say that, but to my mom, it's like he basically was.
Yeah.
Black.
Yeah. And
that was like a huge no. That was allowed. And I started dating him at 17, and I tried to keep it a secret as much as I could.
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah, well, I would sneak around in school and like I ditch. I started ditching in my senior year. I started seeing him during lunch, and then I would go for walks.
Yep.
And he'd pick me up.
That's awesome. That's the way to do it.
I'd go hang out with him, or you know, I'd tell my mom, go drop us off at the movies. Which I'm like thinking back now, my mom never paid for any of the movies.
She had to
But
know.
I told her, I would tell her that like, oh, our friend is going to pay for the movie. Or I got us tickets. It's like, you're 17. How are you getting these free tickets in the theater?
What's going on?
And so, but...
So, 14 years then.
I
You were
guess.
for about 14 years.
But it wasn't really even active until... So from 11 to 17,
11, okay.
yeah. Is really what I would say.
6 years of being very
But
active.
you're a kid, and so you get...
You don't know.
These, yeah.
So for me...
So I disassociated myself, though. Can I say real quick?
Yeah,
So I disassociated myself, and my brother and my mom still kept going, and I got reprimanded. They're like, hey, we're checking you, because...
You weren't showing up for shit?
No, what happened is my biological mother ratted me out and told my mom that I wasn't a virgin anymore. I committed fornication. That's a huge no-no, and it's also a huge no-no if you're Mexican. It's a huge no-no if you're Mexican and you're like...
Jehovah's Witness.
Well, yeah, and like my mom...
Very traditional.
My grandma, very old school. It's like, you leave the house in a white dress. And her hopes were with me that I would be the first one to leave the house in a white dress. So imagine that picture.
Didn't happen.
February 3rd.
Oh, wow. I don't remember the date.
1999.
Wow.
Yeah, February 3rd, 1999.
I have no idea what my date is.
It just stuck with me.
But it's before my wedding day, I can tell you that.
3rd or 4th. But, yeah, she told
awesome.
them, and so then they reprimanded me, and then I just stopped going.
Yeah, fuck that.
Because I was like, well, I just stopped going.
That was your murder.
And then a year later, the elder which I hate elders this way, that, you know, he thought he was basically God.
Oh, they are.
And he was brand new.
They're God's mouthpiece, right?
And he was brand new. He didn't know my story. He didn't know anything. He didn't like my brother. My brother was very young, and he was advancing very fast in the church, and he didn't like that. He didn't like that nobody liked. And it was just... So what he did was, he came to where I was living, and...
Came to your house?
He came to the house. I don't even know how he got the address. I think my mom must have given it to him. But he couldn't get a hold of me. So he calls me at work, at my job.
Jesus
I don't even know how this guy got where I work, but he did. He called me and he said, hey, since you haven't changed your ways, we're going to disfellowship you.
Wow. And this was after you haven't been going for a minute.
I hadn't gone for over a year.
Oh, okay.
And actually, I was like, excuse me? And then he's
Who
like...
this?
Yeah, and then he said, well, we had a talk with your brother. Yeah, he said, we had to talk with your brother. And I'm like, why are you talking to my brother?
Exactly.
You want to know why you talked to my brother? Because we had he was the male figure in the family.
Yeah.
Even though my grandmother was obviously older. My mom, she was older than him. But he went and told my brother.
It's male.
And I just was so pissed. And I remember thinking, who the hell are you to even come in?
Exactly.
And I haven't even gone. And I was like so upset that he disfellowshipped me, because I was always wanting to still go back.
Yeah,
but I wanted to go back on my terms.
But there's an
not
attachment.
Because,
that's the thing that a lot of people don't... The thing that I'll speak to really briefly, and people don't understand that it's a community. Everything is there. Your family is there. Your friends are there. In my experience, work is there. Like, everything is there. Like, that's your entire... that's your entire support system.
Yeah.
And if you decide to walk away, that's one thing, and that's really difficult. But if someone were to tell you, you're out, and you're like, oh shit, I just lost all this stuff, and not just stuff, people and relationships and friends and family, like, you just lost all that, and it wasn't your decision, I can't imagine how the bottom would. For me, I was able to make the decision myself and say entirely and be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
But like for you or for anyone else who's just excommunicated, like, hey, you didn't do these things right, or you're not coming enough, see ya? Like, I can imagine how devastating that potentially could be.
Well, it basically cut ties with my mom. My mom didn't have anything to do with me. She stopped talking to me.
Wow.
The only one that did keep communication is my brother, because he was my best friend.
Right.
But my mom didn't talk to me at all. And
Crazy.
that hurt like so
everything.
much. It hurt so bad. And at the time, my dad got really sick, and I was pregnant actually with my second. And nobody wanted to tell me because I was pregnant. Right. And my brother ended up calling me crying, because at this point he only had like a couple more months to live. And he just was like, nobody wants to tell you, but this is what's happening. And so when all that happened, so part of the rules is that they can't sit down and eat with you. Okay. At the same table. Like, they will not sit down and eat with you at the same table. God. Even if it is family. Even if you're family and you're my brother and you're disfellowshipped, I'm not going to eat at the same table as you.
But you can talk to them.
You can talk to them, but see, what I didn't like is that she was, to me, in my eyes, she was a hypocrite. Yeah. Because they told her not to kick me out. They said, don't kick her out.
She just excommunicated.
And she kicked me out.
Damn.
And I just felt like, how are you going to follow the rules in this aspect?
Right, but not
in this. Like, it didn't make sense to me. And I remember being upset with her because I just felt like she was being a hypocrite, and she was only using the Bible when it benefited her. That's
how many religions work. Like, they only use the parts that speak. They take one little verse and like, oh, well, this is what this means, and it's like, maybe it's not. Maybe you should read the whole fucking chapter and get the whole picture. But it's like, no, this really serves our purpose today, so we're going to use this. Yeah, that's fucked. So, you were in for 6+ years, somewhere around there. Definitely not a thing to boast about, but I was in from birth until, I want to say, about 26, 27. So I went to the college that I was supposed to go to. I was an assistant pastor and all that shit. And even after all of that, you know, getting out of it was it's a relief. It's just like, well, for me, I don't believe in luck. I'm not a big fan of that. But if I ever have gotten lucky, it's with my family. And we all kind of made our exit together.
I would say, because I lost mine. Right. I would say
so you would call me lucky. Absolutely. And that makes sense. I agree with that. But I would say I'm very lucky in that, you know, we all kind of, not on the same day or even in the same month.
Right, but it still happened.
But within the 5-year span, we all made our exit. And we're like,
my mom's still trying to save me.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
She still tells me, you know.
She still prays for you? I pray for you.
She just says.
Doesn't pray for you?
No, she just says, here's the sad thing is that, like, when I look back, though, the memories I had as Jehovah's Witnesses were happy.
That's good.
They were very happy. And so, like, a lot of, and I'm not crying, people. I have, like, I have, like, a hair.
She's got an eyelash dude going on right now.
But, you know, I look back, and to me, that's when I was happy. And you're ignorant. You're ignorant to so many things. And so you're just like, ignorance is bliss, right? Yep. And so, she does tell me, like, you know, if you this is one of the things I hate, because I've been single for so long. If you come back, you're going to meet somebody.
You're going to meet, oh, God.
And you need to marry. You need to
marry inside of our cult.
You need to marry, to marry a Jehovah's Witness. And I would tell her, because I knew of so many divorces, too. I would say...
It's the same numbers.
Yeah, I said, Mom, just because they're Jehovah's Witness, that doesn't make them a good person.
No.
And, you know, she never said anything back to that. But she still would always, you know, you should come back. When are you going to come back? And I think she, not that she's given up, but I think she knows at this point that
it's not happening.
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
My opinion, the whole, like finding someone to marry and, like, good people, this is my opinion, so if you don't like it, I'm not sure why you're still watching. But good people are good, and bad people are bad. Can people change?
Yes.
Yes. Have I seen people change? Not in my personal life, no. So it's hard for me to say, like, oh yeah, for sure people can change. I'm not saying they can't. I'm saying I'm waiting for proof. But also, in my opinion, when it comes to religion and good and bad people, I don't think it makes the good people that much better. It can, but I don't think across the board it does. And the bad people, it makes so much worse. It gives them the power to hold God over people. It gives them the ability to say, you know, I'm better than you, even though I'm a shitty person. Like, that's the thing that bugs the hell out of me about religion. and most especially cults. It hands the reins of power to some really shitty people. And I'm not saying that they're all shitty, or that there's, everyone that comes into power in a church as a pastor, as an elder, as a priest is a bad person. Absolutely not, because I believe there are good people. But I feel like religion doesn't make good people that much better, and it makes bad people a lot worse. I don't want to take a ton more time, but just a couple things. I think what's funny and ironic is the word cult. The fact that we were both 100% in cults, and I still have people today. I don't know if anyone will post it on this, but I have got 2 or 3 people, no, just one person for sure, that when I talk about being in a cult, they'll comment on Facebook and say, "Were we really in a cult though?" Yeah, we were. So it's funny to me.
Look up the definition.
Yeah, the definition, and just your own experience, and look at other cults. What's funny to me is I actually took a class in college called Cults and Heresies. That was the name of the class. And we learned about you, and we learned about Mormons.
Well, obviously you didn't learn correctly, though, if you thought that only 140...
Yeah, no, I'm not saying we learned it the right way.
Right.
I'm saying we knew... It was really arming ourselves. It was like what to say to Jehovah's Witnesses when you're stuck. Like, how to defend yourself, and how to say they're full of shit, even though we're full of the same shit, just different words.
Yeah.
So, I think it's funny. I just wanted to say that. Like, I think it's funny that so often we had to have it reinforced that all these other religions are cults. But we're not a cult, and we don't do that. These 2 or 3 things, we don't do those things.
See,
but all the other things, we do.
See, and so that's how your religion was?
Yes.
Jehovah's Witnesses, we didn't see other things as cults. It was just a false religion.
Mm.
Unless it was like an actual, real, it came out on the news and that was like, okay, that's actual
like Scientology or some shit. But that
Yeah.
makes more sense, because then you don't have to bring up the conversation.
No, it was never like a cult thing. It was just always like, all these other religions, Catholics and like Mormons and whatnot, it's a false...
They're just wrong.
Yeah, it's a false religion. And they did encourage you to learn about different religions so that you can, like you said, arm yourself.
Yeah.
But they also... One of the things that I did like about the Jehovah's Witnesses at the time...
You're going to go back now.
We. I know, it's terrible. It's been so many years.
Right.
But, one of the things that I did like is that, or at least it was, right, here's a brainwashing part of it.
Oh, God.
Here's a brainwashing part of it, is that you're made to think that we want you to go and learn about those other religions. Yeah. Go ahead and learn about them. But you're gonna see that this is the true religion.
Oh, yeah, that rings a bell with me for sure.
Because even if you did go, because of what you are was like indoctrinated,
it's
like
already
was already
stuck in your head.
Mm-hmm. What you would read about the Catholic, Bible, you'd be like, oh no, idols, no, what?
Yeah, get out of here.
No, that's wrong, right? So that's what you would do.
Mm-hmm.
But and so in my head, when I that was one of the things that I would like boast about. Oh, like no, but Jehovah's Witnesses, they like encourage us to go and like read about other.
But
religions.
because you've already been so fully indoctrinated,
exactly.
No religion anywhere is going to be like, oh wait, that religion makes more sense. No, you're so fully indoctrinated by that point. Yeah, you can go research what you want. It doesn't matter.
You're gonna come back.
What are some?
It's like a bad relationship.
It really, in so many ways, is so similar because we both have had both, and it echoes a lot. I guess we've really talked about a lot of them already, but maybe we'll bring a couple more up. Some funny things or traditions or legalism. I don't. So you were allowed to go to the movies, or your mom kind of let it slide?
No, we were allowed to go to the movies.
Really?
We just couldn't watch rated R movies. Mm-hmm. We were allowed to go to movies.
Snuck into a rated R movie.
I didn't watch.
Like you could have gone to.
Could have.
Like you could have gone and said you were going to go to this movie and went to a different one.
But here's the thing, though, is that.
But you were always with JWs.
No, I'd be with my brother, or when I had that boyfriend at the time, I wouldn't go watch a rated R movie.
Because you really bought this shit, right?
Well, because the whole thing about a rated R movie was it had obviously not even just violence. It would be sex and foul language.
It's the sex.
It was the sex and the foul language that you weren't allowed to, because if you were gonna leave, if you were gonna watch that, then you're gonna have these thoughts in your head and you're gonna want to go have sex.
You're gonna get
it's
pregnant.
like it's human nature. Of course you're gonna want to have sex. Yes,
we're kind of born with it.
Yeah, but we were allowed to watch movies, so. My mom did let us go watch movies, but it always had to be PG-13
or lower. Yeah. So we were allowed that, but at home. Actually, I don't know. I think it was PG. I think PG was the highest we could go. But it was only at home. You couldn't go to the movie theater, and it was so funny. The excuse was, you can't go to the movie theater because you can't control what's going to come on the screen. But at home, you can control it. So for that reason...
Interesting.
Yeah. For that reason, you couldn't watch... it could be 13, but I think it was PG and lower was what all you could watch. And then you can't have, most of us didn't have TV. Like you said, like cable. Like growing up, that just wasn't a thing.
So back in the day, because I'm older, we still had...
Not that much.
Okay, well, back in the day, you were still able to have, like, an antenna. So you had the regular channels, the basic channels, which would be 2 to 13. And then some, like, weird channels after that.
We got an antenna for the the war in Iraq. That's where we got it. Yeah, Bush. He just wanted the oil and shit, you know? I don't know what it was, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's what we got an antenna for. I'll never forget. And all the love in the world to my dad. I love that man. But it was really funny, and I'll never forget it. We got I think it was red. A little red TV. And I mean little. Like, this was the TV. We got it. We watched the Iraq War, you know, just hosing motherfuckers. And then when it was over, it was like, oh, Dad, you're supposed to, you know, the war's over. You gotta get rid of the TV. But we didn't.
What did you guys watch? Just
news, just, you know, whatever CNN wanted to lie about that day, or Fox News, or because it was the war, like it was important. For some reason, that was important. So we watched the war, and then when the war was over, we kept the TV, and a part of me was like, hey, no, we're not supposed to have the TV still. We're done shooting people. Like, you gotta no more TV. But I'll never forget the night. I don't know what it was. God knows, because it was all black and white. Like it was a little TV. I don't remember what it was. It was a commercial or a show. Something set my dad off. He yanked that shit out of the wall, and I watched him, and I was kind of bummed. I watched him walk out to the rusty trash barrel and just wham, just slam that thing down. I'll never forget that. But anyways, we weren't allowed to have TV. We're not allowed to go to the movies. Dress code was strictly enforced. There was a rule on girls, when you sit down, your knees have to be, whatever dress you're wearing, your knees have to cover. If I remember right, your knees have to still be covered. So, like, your dress had to be down basically to your ankles. There was a rule on slits, a certain amount of inches. You couldn't have, like, I don't know what the rule was, but there was a ratio. And when I went to college, they would check. The guys, they would check your hair. It had to be off your ears, which to this day, I can't handle it. Once it gets on my ears, I'm like, fuck. And I get my razor and like get rid of it. Couldn't be on your ears. Had to be tapered. Couldn't be below a certain point on your neck.
So kind of like military.
Very military. Yeah. So our shit, IFB is based on 1950s nostalgia and military. That's
cool.
really where
everything...
it
looks
cool. It looks cool, though.
I like the 50s.
Like it was a cool time.
Style and everything,
but guess what? So. It's 2017.
I know.
Shit doesn't work. But I get what you're saying. Like, it's a nice era.
Yeah.
It's nostalgic. I get it. But to make that a rule and have to live a lifestyle around it is ridiculous. Yeah. So those were some of the kind of funny things that I found inside our religion, where it was just like now being on the other side of it, being out and looking at people, like, boom, I can spot you. If you're a part of this religion, this cult, I can spot you a mile away. If
you're on the corner, what's a magazine?
Yeah. You know.
They were outside of the gym the other day. They're lazy now. No, they are lazy because they just stand in the corner now and they don't talk to anybody. They just stand there. And back in the day,
I've seen them at Albertsons.
We had to actually talk to people, knock on doors. I've seen them at the grocery store. Have you had them?
No, they come here. Here's a funny thing.
I'm all angry. I'm like, those lazy
motherfuckers. So no, they come to my door. This is my door right here.
Just tell them you're disfellowshipped. I told Stuart.
What?
Just say you're disfellowshipped and they won't come anymore.
Fellowships?
Disfellowshipped.
Oh,
That means you got kicked out.
Y'all don't fuck with me anymore.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
The run, right?
Pretty much.
So,
because you're black sheep.
So they knocked on my door a couple times. I answered the door once because I was like, oh, someone knocked on my door, because no one ever knocks on my door.
I have company.
The homies that come over usually have a key. So they knocked on my door. I answered. I was like, fuck, you got me. Because I have got a 4-year-old. So she's like, Daddy, someone's at the door. And I'm like, shut up. So I opened the door. I heard their spiel. I was like, I'm good, guys. Thanks. And then I called my apartment complex to say, hey, you got people in here knocking on my door. You can kick them out, right? Call the police or whatever, because that's what I got that every Saturday. I'm going to call the police. Oh, yeah. Well, generally it was on someone's private property.
We had were like, you know, they'd let out the dogs, or they would, you know, take out the water hose and try to spray.
No shit.
Oh, they were very,
Oh, wow. I mean, you guys had it coming. You had a better reputation than we did. Your reputation...
For the longest time, Jehovah's Witnesses were like the only ones that I remember that were actually
door
preaching.
To door.
And when I started seeing other religions doing it...
Mormons do it like a motherfucker now.
Well, Mormons were doing it, and I just felt relieved. Like, oh, see? We're not the only...
It's catching on!
It is, yes! That's how I felt!
We actually... I remember I would train people to not wear a white shirt and a black tie, because we always wear a shirt and tie. Which, by the way, is fashion faux pas. If you're wearing a tie, wear a fucking suit too. Don't wear a shirt and a tie. Jesus. Anyways, that bugs me. I don't know if you can tell. So, I would encourage them never wear it when we go soul winning. Gathering up our souls. Don't wear a white shirt and a black tie, because then you look like a Mormon and no one's going to answer the door. It's the same people. They're not going to answer the door anyways. It doesn't matter.
Still preaching.
Yeah, exactly. Soul winning.
Preaching.
So, anyways, to me, those are some funny legalistic things looking back. The dress code, music, movies, like, it's just all very, very comical. And it's comical on one end because I did it, and it's like, wow, that's ridiculous to try and live your life that way. And it's also sad because there's people that still do it and still think that. Here's the wild thing: they're not doing that to get to heaven. They're already set. Remember, they prayed the prayer. They're good to go. Why are you doing this shit? Just do what. Like, I want to go see a new movie right now. I can go see it. Yeah. That's so much fun. So much more fun than, well, I'd love to see the movie, but I can't because it's PG-13, or I gotta wait till it's out of theater. No, I can go see it. Anyways, that's the outside looking in. I think that's a lot of it. The one thing I do want to talk to, and I think we'll wrap up with this, is man worship, because it's ingrained to me to the point where I still do it, but not on a religious level. So whether it's Joe Rogan or Gary Vaynerchuk, I have a need. And I don't have to do this. I'm self-aware enough to know that I don't have to do this, but I have a need to attach myself to the teachings, not spiritual.
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you do
Where
that.
I need to attach myself to the teachings of, or the ideology, or whatever it is of some man, or even a woman, but generally a man.
He especially did that for his match.
I did?
Yeah, you did.
Who?
Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, because I talked to Joe about it. That's right. I did. Well, and like it was the same gym, same type of gym. Yeah, because Joe trains a lot of 10th Planet.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. So don't me. Anyways.
See what I'm talking about?
See, I'm defending him right now.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan.
He's doing it right now.
So, but that's the thing that and we talked earlier about that you have your elders that you like put. It's so, to me, it's
ridiculous.
It's not just ridiculous. It's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Outside of the religious realm, I'm not saying it's right what I do, but it's not dangerous. It's not taking it to a level of, this news story broke about Joe being a murderer and I am not going to buy it. No, I'll buy it. He did that. Or Gary, or whoever it is that I'm really plugged into. If something negative comes out about them, Kevin Hart, like, I'm a big fan, but like, he fucked up, okay? And he did, and I'm not, there's no defense, there's no whatever. Inside religion, two things. Number one, either the story never breaks, because like you said, you don't have two witnesses. It gets hidden, and even though you know about it, you don't say shit. Or even there's times when it does break, but somehow the guy doesn't go away for very long, or he does go away, but you still refuse to believe it. So there's that ridiculous ideology of like, he can do no wrong. And then there's all the people that this person, man or woman, generally men have wronged, that are continuing to suffer, and whether the person goes away for the rape or in the murder, which did happen in the religion I was in, the rape, the murder, the molestation, whatever it is, people are still suffering because it's being propagated. People are, religious leaders are continuing to do that thing with no repercussion. Well, I shouldn't say no. Generally, if it gets caught to a certain level, just like the Catholic Church has done, and I don't speak ill of the Catholic Church for this because every religion has their thing, has their problems, but the Catholic Church has been known for shuffling. So like, you fucked up over here in Albany, we're going to move you over to some other part of New York. Like, whatever it is, like, they just like to shuffle people so that it doesn't catch up to them. But it's going to catch up to them because they're not going to stop, because you didn't take power or authority away from them. You just moved them to a different flock of people that they're going to fuck up. So I don't know. That's just something that's a real passion of mine. I'm very frustrated with the man worship that happens in these religions. I've seen it. I've posted things on Facebook about men that are pastors or leaders in this religion, and women as well, and I'll get all kinds of hate. How dare you? This is a man of God. Like, no, he's not a man of God. He's a pedophile or a murderer or a rapist.
With the cloak.
Yeah, with the cloak. Or at the very least, someone who's very sexually deviant, but instead of looking at that for what it is, because his emails are super sexually dark and very male chauvinistic, or his teachings are very, very sexual in nature, whoever, and I'm not speaking to just one person, I'm speaking to a lot of them, people tend to just feel like, no, it's okay. Like, he doesn't really mean it that way, or he's a man of God, so what he says goes, and it's okay for him to say.
Or, like, what I've seen a lot of the comments on your thing has been, like, but he did so much good.
Mm.
Like, bitch, that doesn't mean that...
It doesn't equate,
it doesn't,
yo.
No.
Sure, he did so much good. So for the girl that he raped, or the family that he fucked over, or the people that he financially really, really ruined, you tell them. Tell them about all the good that he did. And you tell them how hard he worked and how he was such a good man and he had this one little falling. By the way, I never buy that shit. When something hits the news or finally it breaks that this guy is a pervert or some kind of deviant, I never believe it's an isolated instance. And I'll tell you why. The reason I never believe it is because they've got a whole flock of people, and I mean hundreds, if not 100 people, that will do what they tell them to do. And you're telling me it was just one person that they coerced into doing this thing? No, I'll never buy it, especially when they've been in the ministry for years. Wow, I got really worked up. Didn't mean to, but what are your thoughts on, as far as like man worship? Did it exist in the Jehovah's Witness?
It did.
Okay.
Yeah, so the elders were like looked at these like, like just these highly
infallible.
Can
they do any wrong?
When they did wrong? It was when their child got disfellowshipped.
Talk me through that. Maybe
so
I'm just too drunk.
if you're an elder and you're a great elder and you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, but your kid
it wasn't
got
actually them, it was the kid.
Yes, then you're a failure and you got taken down to now you no longer are the presiding like elder, like let's say if you had a higher
you're a lower
you're a lower
level
elder and you just were looked down upon. But yes, definitely there is a lot of man worship there, and as a woman, you can't dress a certain way, you can't do things because
are women supposed to, now you could read during scripture or whatever during
you can answer. You could raise up your hand and you can answer, and you could do talks.
That's
no. You could do. But they're like these. They're not talks, but they're kind of like these plays. But and it would be exactly like this.
Right.
So when you are a baptized publisher, you get put on a list where you have to do talks. The men are assigned to do a talk up in front of the whole congregation,
okay.
Or whatever. Yeah. Or I don't think it. No. Yeah. It was always the men was always just them by themselves up at the front doing the talk.
And the women
and the women would be at a table, like pretend there's a table here, and then we would have a conversation, and then
just two women.
Just two women, yes. And
now,
so it would be my talk.
Is that up on the platform, or like it's just lower level?
It's up in the platform, okay. And so then I would have a certain topic. I would have to make up something of like they would give you a topic or like scripture, and you'd have to
riff off that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was like that. But women were not allowed to present an actual talk.
You can't stand up in front of the pulpit or whatever.
What's a pulpit?
Did you guys really? You guys didn't have... What did the guy stand... Would he just like stand up there or whatever? Like
there's like the thingy. I don't know what it's
That's
called.
A pulpit, dude. That's not a thingy.
That's how much... You have to remember that all of my teaching was in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't in English.
I wonder what it'd be called. Someone tell me what the pulpit is in Spanish. So a pulpit is the lectern. Or the... That's not helping either.
No.
It's
basically like a wood freaking stand with a microphone in the middle.
Would they put like papers or their Bible on it?
Yes.
That's the pulpit.
Okay.
I don't know why you're laughing so much. I've had a lot to drink, so that makes sense.
I'm trying to remember what it's in Spanish.
Spanish, I don't know. In Espanol. But yeah, the pulpit. So basically that's the position of power. If you get to stand behind that and sing or preach or
no one ever sang, but yeah, you would preach through there.
Wait, you didn't sing? You're not singing in the service?
We did. We had it before the service, in the middle, and then at the end.
Right. Oh, you got it in the middle?
Yes.
That's dope. We only got it at the beginning and the end. We got gypped.
But everybody would stand up and sing.
Mm-hmm. But don't you have a homie standing up there like leading the singing?
No.
Like, oh, that's cool.
No. The music would play and then everybody would start.
Can we go? Is there like one?
Yeah, we could go on a Sunday. And now it's not 2 hours. It's like only like an hour. They've like changed it significantly.
You have to. The times are changing.
To the times, yes.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, but what's interesting that you're talking about is the women sitting up on the pulpit and doing, or not the pulpit, but the platform and doing the thing. because women aren't allowed. There's a verse in the New Testament about how women are supposed to remain silent in the church, and they make that like men can say. Do you guys like say things like yes or like when someone's doing their lesson? Do you say anything besides? Oh, in ours, like it's a big deal. Like amen, yes, that's right. Like say shit like that.
God,
like,
no.
Yell it out.
No.
So all the men could do that, but women weren't allowed to.
Really?
Yes.
That, first of all, that's annoying.
It's super annoying, especially.
And it would sound so fake. And then what if you like messed up it?
Yeah, well, I messed up a lot. Especially if you're like I got to the point where I was the one speaking, and they would say shit and be like, "Hey, what?" It's very like, and I'm not trying to be a dick to anyone. Just saying like. It's very distracting.
No, ours is very.
That's interesting.
You
sounds more
prayed structured.
Structured. That's the word. Yeah.
So you'd pray. You had your song. Whoever was doing their talk would present themselves and would say, "Everybody rise for the song."
Yeah.
And then you sang, and then you had your prayer.
I love all that. You gotta watch Always Sunny because there's an episode or a scene where it's like, okay, stand up and sing. All right, now sit down.
I think you told me about it, and I
showed you the
yeah.
clip. Oh my god, it's so true. Like, wait, are we standing or are we sitting?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Oh, it's so confusing.
Yeah.
It is though. I think every religion, not every religion, but for sure, Baptist, Catholics, and Jehovah's Witnesses have the whole standing and sitting and singing thing, and it's just like, can we just do one thing? Yeah. That'd be great.
And I liked that in the middle, in between when
it's
we
a little break.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't because you got up and you sang.
Yeah, but
and then you just sat back down, and then you had to like.
Oh, this is awkward.
I remember, okay,
Tell me.
so when I would go, sometimes I would be tired because you're just listening to the freaking talk and then you start falling asleep.
I fell asleep as the assistant pastor on the platform.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my
the
God.
pastor was preaching and I'm... to this day, I feel bad for that. For everything else, the pastor that I worked for was an incredible man. And I still feel bad because I would absolutely fall asleep.
So I had my thing.
And eventually he was like, on the Sunday, because I would sit there the whole service. Then Sunday evening he's like, hey, you can sit down in the congregation.
Really?
I'm pretty sure because I'm sure his wife was like, hey, the guy you hired is fucking falling asleep.
That's terrible.
You got to step up your sermon game or have him sit down. That's just not working out.
Let's just have him sit down.
Let's have him sit down. Anyway, sorry.
But no, I developed this cool tricks of being able to fall asleep.
Oh hell yeah, you
have
to.
I would sit down. I would always get there, and I would sit at the edge of because there were rolls. There were rolls of seats.
Rows, not rolls.
Rolls.
It's funny that it's all in Spanish, so for you to make it understandable is different. But I know it's a pulpit, it's a pew. I get it. It's rows.
There's
rows and aisles.
There's row.
Rows, dude.
There's
rows.
Rows.
Like row. Your boat.
There's rows.
Rows.
Of this connected seating, and you have all these rows. Okay, so I would always go to the end. So I'd go to the end, and I wouldn't be like this because this exposes this.
Yes, So
I would always flip my hair. Okay, I would flip my hair.
Okay, I got it.
And I would do this. Okay, and I would have the Bible or whatever magazine we were reading.
Oh, you're looking at it.
So I'm pretending to look at it. Okay, and do you know how you have your what are these called? Armrests.
Armrests, yeah.
So you have your armrest, right?
Oh, we didn't have armrests. On one end and on one end, but we didn't have them in between all throughout.
Oh,
you had them
really?
all throughout?
Yes,
Yeah.
we had them all throughout.
That's handy.
So I would do one of two things. I would either sit like this. Right? And to make it look like I was looking at, and I would sit like this, and I would fall, and I sit like that, and I would fall asleep like this. There you go, dude. Or I would turn this way because I'm paying attention.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, but I'm just like this, and I'm like this. And I'm pretending to read, and my mom never caught me when I did that.
That's talent.
I would do it. So we had these assemblies that would last all day, from 9 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh my god!
I would do that, especially in those.
Hey, that's too long. When the podcast is over, I will tell you some things that happened to me. Not sleeping, but. It's interesting.
Okay.
But yeah, you can get away with a lot of things in a big congregation. I'll just say that. So.
Oh my god.
But I think that kind of wraps it up. I think I want to have you on again and talk about some more specific subjects. But all all that to say, I always like to wrap it up. Anytime we're talking about cults, I always like to wrap it up and say, like, if I feel like I've had so many people, I'll get people that want to fight with me about this, and I get it. I'm not going to change your mind, and you're not going to change my mind, and that's fine. It's the internet, it's social media, wherever this is presented, and you want to fight with me about it.
First of all, they shouldn't even be on the internet because it's worldly.
Yeah, well, there you go. No Google for you. No, it's true. But
if you want to stick to the Bible, the actual Bible.
La Biblia. So, to those people I say, do your thing. Like, I ain't mad at you. And actually, I had a recent podcast that I filmed with my buddy John. I don't know where chronologically that'll fit in. But I'm people that are religious, and you may not have the same feeling, and that's fine. But people that are religious or, attend church regularly, and they feel that it's helping them, and they can look at it objectively, and when the pastor says something that doesn't add up, they can talk to him about it, or they can say that's bullshit. Good for you. If you feel like it's helping you or making you a better person, I don't want to fight with you. That's fine. But I feel like there's a lot of people, and I know there's a lot of people, because you guys, I love you to death. You show up in my direct messages, my private messages. You don't want to comment or like a post, and I get that because I've been there. But you're in a place where you're not in the transition yet, but you're really thinking about it. I just want to encourage you that that there's life after all that stuff. There really is. There's a lot of happiness on the other side. There's a lot less guilt. Well, actually, there's no guilt. The guilt's gone. The shame's gone. It disappears. It dissipates. People will try to put it on you and tell you that you're wrong, or that you shouldn't be doing something, or however they want to phrase it, or you're not in God's will is a good one that they like to use. But I just want to say that to everyone out there that's in kind of that place where you're maybe not sure yet. And I'm not saying like, hey, you need to be an atheist. No, you do what makes you happy, and as long as it's not harming someone else, do what feels good. Do that, because you've been taught for a long time, whether it's since birth or from a young age or as a young teenage convert, you've been taught like you need to deny yourself and all these fleshly things and all these feelings of like, well, that felt good, I should do it more. No, it's wicked and it's sinful. Again, if it's not bringing harm to someone else, it's not. So I just want to encourage you. I love you guys to death, and I want to encourage you that there's more to life than sitting in a pew and finding interesting ways to fall asleep. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Definitely looking forward to seeing you guys again in the near future.